don't know why anybody says they're a car enthusiast. I know my mother told me that I was making car noises before I could talk. I've just always liked cars. I think it's one of those things, you're either a car guy or you're not. Growing up as a kid, I really just liked the look of the Porsches. I liked the way they sounded, just the feel of them. And I knew Porsches were something that you could drive every day and you could run them hard and they were durable. So I really went that way in the collection and just have always liked them, and I've never looked back. My name is Ron Thomas. I live in Galena, Ohio, and I drive and own B59 number 4 of 5. My fiance Diana told me about this car. She saw it on an email that was sent out by Porsche and out by Brumos, and I thought, oh, I'll never get one of those cars. It's going to be impossible. The thing that makes this car so special is it's really the first car that was ever done by the factory that honored not only Brumos but Hurling, which I think is really cool. It is really cool to drive too when you see the Brumos plates and the Brumos license plate frame, and a lot of people recognize the car. It's a really, they recognize the Brumos stripes, and it's a real one. There's a lot of people that copy them, but this is the real deal. It's a very comfortable car, unlike the RSs that have the lighter clutch and maybe accelerate a little bit heavier. This car is easier to drive. It's a little bit quieter inside. It's really a good road car. Yeah, one of the biggest things, and I know it was really hard to do when Brumos was talking to Porsche about doing it, because the GTS had center locks and they put the kind of backdated Fuchs wheels. When they came out with the new modern version, I thought it was a really great look. It's classic, people recognize it.
Well, the B59 program was it was a first. It was a unique project that Porsche felt was appropriate for Brumos Porsche, given a racing history of over 40 plus years. It was something that we've not done before, but certainly deserved given the level of consistent commitment to motorsport.
When you have that really distinctive paint scheme to be able to work with, it makes it really fun to be able to transfer that into, production cars. What's cool about the B59 is that it takes both realms of when I started and sort of where I finished. So I started off in basically a 911 that looked somewhat like the B59. Our 73 car that we won Daytona with kind of looks like a B59. So that links the past, and then it links the present, which is the car that we won the championship with, and the car that I closed out my career with in 2012 at Daytona looks kind of like a B59. So it bookends my career from the start to the finish. And it's really kind of neat to be able to have a car that when you look at it, it sort of encompasses both the past and the present in one really cool looking package.
My name is Riley M. Kelly. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I drive a 2012 911 Carrera GTS B59 edition. There are a lot of Porsches out there and a lot of special models over the years, but at no particular time that I know of has Porsche ever really made of a particular factory designated model, which I think gives them a great exclusivity and a great honor. The mystical day that they announced that the B59s would be made at the factory to commemorate Hurley's record 5 wins at Daytona gave me the immediate necessity to make a phone call to Hurley to find out about them. And luckily enough, he had already put my name on one so that I had the ability to have this particular experience. The B59 to me just has a special meaning to it, with the Brumos history and the legend, Hurley's history and legend, and then plus what Brumos has tried to create with the, as we call it, the B59 group. You know, we've all become very good friends with one another in various functions and race events, and you know, I just can't imagine that I would ever have a car that could provide me more enjoyment than the B59 edition.
It's like a sickness. It's very difficult for me to see a new car that excites me and not buy it. Ever since I was 5 years old, and my grandfather, who was a taxi driver in Cuba, sat me on his lap and let me grab that big steering wheel in the Dodge that he was driving. I fell in love with automobiles, and by the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I knew every car. I knew what they were about, I knew every detail about them, and I was totally in love. Obviously, as I grew up, we left Cuba. We're very poor, I couldn't afford any. And I said, one day when I'm able to afford cars, I will try to have every car, every beautiful car made, every car that's exciting to own. My name is Michael Fuchs, and I drive the B59 number 5. They go back a long time, a long, long time. It is important because of the history. It is important because of the Brumos racing history. It's just a nice car to have in my collection, yes. I'm very happy I have the car. It's a beautiful car. Above all, it states what Brumos is all about and the racing heritage, and it's nice to own a piece of that. So that's what really attracted me to it when I was told that they had it.
There's a lot of people involved in making this happen and come together, even down to making sure you have the right color, blue and red, to send to the factory, because you don't want to do the stripes in the wrong shade. So there's a lot of people involved, but definitely it's very satisfying to be a member of a team like that, to have something that you can look back at like this car and know not only does it satisfy you for what you've done, but then you have the customers that own the cars and the people that see them at the car shows and events that have the interaction with it as well. It definitely makes you feel proud to be a part of that.
My name's Bill Amos, and I am fortunate enough to live on Amelia Island, Florida, just north of Jacksonville and Brumos, and I am lucky enough to own number 2 of the 2 out of 5 B59s commemorating Hurley Haywood's 1975 victory. Yeah, you know, it's a unique link to Brumos racing history, and if you're a real Porsche guy, or if you're just a sports car guy, it's unique, and it's not something that, well, only 5 people got a chance to own them, and I'll probably never have another chance to own a car that unique. I think there are lots and lots of Porsche enthusiasts around the country who wished that maybe when they first saw the announcement they'd picked up the phone right then. I was lucky. I happened to actually be in the dealership. And I immediately said, well, if I'm high enough in your pecking order, I want one. You know, the idea, I had met Hurley and been to the Brumos driving experience with him and thought the world of him. And the idea of having one of 5 cars was extremely appealing, particularly with the added cachet of Brumos racing history. Yeah, I'm very, very lucky. I realize that these are few and far between, and my guess is that at least in my lifetime, there'll never be a chance to buy one of these at auction.
You know, when Riley came and bought the car and we first got introduced, I instantly liked the guy, and he just was a true Brumos fan. He just loved Brumos, and he loved everything about it, and he loved his car. And he said, you know, I love my car so much, I want to make a statue or a casting of that car to sort of remind me of what that car is that you can sit on your desk.
You know, the car is really a work of art. It should be immortalized in bronze, which I think is the most immortal form of art that you can create. It's always great to have a piece that has a history, a legend, and a story behind it. And just the fact that it had Hurley's name on it meant a lot to me. And Hurley has taught me a lot about how to not only drive a Porsche, but how to enjoy a Porsche.
The actual cooperation of the factory putting their name onto a design from a dealership is pretty much unheard of. It was really you know, wonderful to be recognized, me personally, and as a dealership by Porsche for the accomplishments that we made with that B59.